Hey everyone, this is ManlyBadassHero, and this is a kind of a follow-up video to my previous milestone video, my million subscriber milestone one. So, the YouTube medal came in, the gold plaque that they send you for 1 million subscribers. That came in actually just about towards the end of February, but I've been fairly busy, so I haven't really had time to kind of do a video about it till now. When I talked about doing this second video before, I mentioned that I was going to do like maybe a room tour and some other stuff. I decided to kind of separate that into its own video. Kind of keep the subject separate, and also because rearranging some things around here, and it's kind of a mess. But yeah, here's the medal. Here is a picture of my cat who came around when the medal arrived to check up on it. My name is censored in that one photo. Don't think too much about it. I just did that so I could post that publicly in certain places without people being like, oh, that's Manly's cat. That's whatever. Gotta respect the cat's privacy, you know? Like, keep the cat incognito. But yeah, that's the medal. It looks a lot different than my old medal, which was the old small boxed silver one. Which kind of shows like how long I've been doing YouTube. How long, you know, things have been kind of coming. And to reiterate what I said before, thank you all for being such great people. You've been absolute, you know, tremendous amount of support. It's very hard to kind of vocalize the amount of gratitude I have. So, this footage you'll be seeing here is, like I said, I'm not going to do a full room tour. I'll just show you kind of like the way things are currently somewhat set up around my computer right now. Like a teaser, although this is not going to look the same by the time I ever do a room tour. This whole thing's going to be rearranged a little bit. Things were kind of like thrown in various places after I moved here. And I have not moved them. You know how that kind of goes. You kind of move somewhere and you're like, I'll just leave this here for now. It just kind of happens. But the important stuff is there. You know, you got the Fumos. You got Yukari Yakumo everywhere. That's very important. There's going to be an upgrade on that. There's a lot more Yukari Yakumo coming to this space. And at some point in this video, you'll kind of see my fan zone. So on my old setup, I used to have that basically in front of me. It was behind my monitor. And a big point of that was basically, so every time I would record, I'd be able to like, kind of see like all the letters and things people have sent me over the years, and like various memories and stuff like that. That is less practical now, because I have much bigger monitors. I had like a small one back then. Now I cannot see behind anything, so I basically have put it behind me for the time being. I'm not quite fully happy with that spot. It's not bad. But when I get to rearranging things, I might consider like, well, maybe is there a better place I can go? That can show off better. I'm not quite sure yet. But to the front of that pile, there's like fan art. There's a lot there. It's kind of like stacked and whatnot. People have sent me over the years, or I've received. And then buried behind all of that is a bunch of letters, fan letters, stuff like that. I kind of keep that buried because people's addresses are on those things. So a bit of, for my eyes only, privacy kind of stuff. But yeah, this whole space is going to change. Anyway, moving on from that subject, because this is not technically a room tour video. I've kind of already gone over a lot of things in my first milestone video, as far as like the channel and how I feel about things and whatnot. So I won't quite really go into that. I'm actually going to go more into a little more personal story stuff. Nothing like sad or depressing or anything. It's not going to be, if you're worried, this might be one of those videos. But like happy memories. And some of this stuff I might have actually talked about in very old videos. You know, there's like 700 videos there. I don't remember where I might have mentioned things. But since this is a primarily gaming channel, I feel like I should talk about my gaming history a little bit. Not the full extent, but at least we're kind of started. So, the first video game I ever played, like my entire current existence, would be Arcade Centipede. And that's not like I played that in the era where Centipede was king. This was, you know, Nintendo era. But it's just the first game I was really exposed to. And it was in a very specific place. It was in Sony Studios, LA. And this was in their lobby. And they had like Centipede. I don't remember. I think they had Centipede. They might have had another game there. But they had Centipede there. So my father at the time had connections to Hollywood. So I was over at Sony Studios, amongst some other studios quite often. As, you know, a kid. And separate from gaming subject. But I have souvenirs from stuff like that. Like I have a hat from Alien Resurrections wrap-up party. I have a little like piece of a model of like one of the ships or something like that, a little prop thing from Starship Troopers, among some other like minor things like that, some storyboards and things. But yeah, Centipede was the first, and then it's pretty much just straight to like Nintendo, like NES, Nintendo. And you know, it's the typical stuff like Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, played a lot of Ninja Gaiden, eventually when I got Ninja Gaiden. Had like some 100 NES games by the time I was kind of done with that console. Because you can get those things everywhere. Like you go to a flea market, those games were everywhere. They were cheap. A lot of shovelware. A lot of games are pretty much unplayable, but there was a lot of good games mixed in there too. Like I said, my previous video, you kind of showed like I really like Ninja Gaiden. And there's another game I really love. It's called The Guardian Legend. It's kind of like a hybrid, where like there's like a shoot 'em up portion, and there's like a top-down Zelda thing. I think that's why I have like a certain like, I really like hybridish kind of mixed genre games. So when stuff like Undertale and like all these other little quirky games kind of came out, there's another game called Sigma Star Saga, I think, on the GPA, which I'm 100% sure was kind of a tribute to Guardian Legend. I like that kind of that gimmick. And then from Nintendo, I did not jump to Super Nintendo, because Super Nintendo was very expensive at the time, and my parents couldn't afford it. I was given a brick Game Boy by one of our neighbors, who just gave it to me. And eventually my parents bought a Sega Genesis at a garage sale. That came with a bunch of games like Altered Beast and some other things. Not Sonic, surprisingly, like Altered Beast. Or those type of things. I didn't play any actual Sonic games till like later in the Genesis lifespan. So, for the most part, I was a Sega guy growing up around that time. It's not like I didn't play Super Nintendo. Like, you know, your friends had Super Nintendo, and you go to like Best Buy or like some store, and they would have like a bunch of games, a kiosk you can play and everything like that. So, I wouldn't get Super Nintendo till much later in my lifespan. Or rather, the Super Nintendo's lifespan. So, basically, its tail end. And I have a very specific story about my Super Nintendo, because the Super Nintendo I got was from a pawn shop. It was put on layaway. And I remember my parents, because my parents were very poor at the time, like very, very poor. So a vast majority of my life, I've lived in a very, very poor household, as in like basically like flat broke, without going into too much detail. And my parents wanted to really give me the Super Nintendo. So they actually had that thing on layaway, I think, for maybe 2 years, just slowly adding money to it. To the point where they actually bought me games before they got me the Super Nintendo. Like, if they saw, like, really cheap games, like, at a garage sale or something, they would, like, buy them for me. And my workaround for not having a Super Nintendo was I would visit my friends who had a Super Nintendo, and I would bring my games with me. So that's how things kind of went down for a while. So, for me, yeah, I love video games and everything connected to them. I love playing them and all that stuff. They also have, like, strong familial memories. Just because of, like, my association of, like, how much work my parents would do and, like, how much backbreaking they would do just to like get me things for Christmas or things just like to have like that one gift. And then from Super Nintendo and Genesis and like, you know, Game Boys and everything, I was gifted a PlayStation 1 by my aunt. And this was actually a very similar thing. This was in a very similar situation where my parents had no idea that she had gifted me such a thing. She just called me up one day and she's like, "Oh, like what do you want?" And I was like, you know, I was like a kid, you know, I was like, "Oh, you know, it'd be nice to have like a," it's like, "Oh, well then you do PlayStation." And so, you know, she went and basically got it for me, I'm assuming, after that. But my parents did not know of such thing. And they actually, on Christmas Day, Day, Eve, or whatever, I'm not sure when I used to open stuff. The first gifts I opened were actually PlayStation 1 games. And they didn't buy these thinking like, oh, I was going to have a PlayStation 1. Once again, this was a similar thing where they saw these games cheap, and they were like, we can't they told me, like, when I opened up, like, "Sorry, we can't afford, you know, we don't have the money to, like, buy you a PlayStation, but we're like, we've got you some games, you know, like, and we're going to save up and, like, we're going to get you the PlayStation so you eventually can play these games." And then, you know, as I'm going for the gifts, eventually I get to my aunt's gifts, which turned out to be, well, great aunt, actually, I should be specifying, which turned out to be the PlayStation. And there might be, like, a photo, you know, like, you know, an old physical photo of me, like, being super excited, like, "Oh my god, PlayStation." And, like, holding it up, you know what I mean? Like, one of those cliches, right? The kid's like, it's whatever. But yeah, I really like PlayStation. At some point, I eventually got Final Fantasy VII for that thing. And like I said, I've said many times, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game. It's not necessarily like the best game in the world. Like, there's been so many great games that have come out since then, and even before that. It's just very fond memories of that. Because I put on a lot of hours of Final Fantasy VII. Like, I would beat it and then go back and, like, what new secrets can I find? Because, you know, I didn't have a strategy guide, and Didn't really have internet back then. And then the never Final Fantasies would come out and I would kind of repeat the process and so on and so on. There was other great games on the PlayStation, mind you. Like, yeah, a lot of great games, but fond memories of that. Really like Mega Man Legends. Really like the Mega Man Legends series too. I don't know why, but whenever I think of PlayStation, I think of Mega Man Legends 1 and 2. It's just fond memories of those games. And then after that, the events are kind of a little more normalized. Like, I eventually got like an N64, I eventually got like a Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2, and so on, and then like an Xbox, etc., etc., etc. For the most part, after the PlayStation era, like at midway for the PlayStation lifespan, I always like bought my own games because I was like, I always told my parents, like, I don't want you like buying stuff for me anymore. I don't want you spending your money in gifts for me. I'll just like make my own money and like I'll just buy my own gifts. So because of that, it's very hard for people to buy me gifts because I always just buy everything I want. I was just working like, work for it and then just buy it. So people are like, well, what can I get you for a gift? And it's like, well, you seem like you have everything you want. It's like, yeah, just give me food. I always like food. But yeah, video games have always been part of my life. I know it's kind of weird considering that they are essentially a luxury kind of recreational item to say like, oh, they are part of your life. But they are kind of like experiences too. You know, they're not just like, it's like if you played a sport, if you've done anything like physical, like even if you just went hiking at a very specific park all the time, that is technically part of your life. It is a memory in your that has affected you in some form growing up. So, you know, video games have always been alongside me a bit, and I've always really enjoyed them. I feel very like growing up, it would have been cooler to me like to actually be working on video games, but being a video game YouTuber is also acceptable. That's something I would have imagined growing up, but like it's nice being involved in the video game kind of world indirectly, because I've had many chances and like opportunities and things I could have like gone different paths in life that could have taken kind of away from video games, but I always kind of floated nearby it. I kind of was like, it's my passion, or one of my passions anyway. I got a lot of them. Now, if you want to go really far back, first passion is I wanted to be an animator working for Disney. Traditional animation died, so that went out the window. But that's another story. So, before this video gets too long, I'll kind of end it here. This is, like I said, this is part 2 in a series. So part 3 will be the eventual room tour. And I'm not going to be all just room tour. I'll kind of talk about stories like this and other little things. But yeah. Anyway. So thank you all for watching me talk about my life a little bit, I guess. This is a bit of a diverge of topic from just showing off a big golden medal. But you can only really talk about a big golden medal so long. You know, it is a great representation of like the work and things you've done and like the support people have given you. But, you know, the medal is a symbolic thing. The real meat of life is, of course, the channel itself and all of you all and everything. Your comments and your support and all that stuff. Anyway, back again to my outro. Thank you all for watching me talk about things. I'll see you guys later, and take it easy.